the first thing you feel when I say business presentation is fear, don't worry, you're in the right place. The first thing we're going to talk about is how to introduce your topic. Now, a lot of people use the standard of today we're going to talk about, or today I'm going to tell you about. That's okay, it's average. And as a non-native English speaker, this might be your comfort level for now. However, if you want to take your presentation skills to the next level, which will help you not only with the meeting or presentation, it'll also help you qualify for maybe leadership or speaking opportunities, maybe job promotions. So something you can do is really consider the perspective of your audience. Instead of telling them what you're going to talk about, consider telling them or framing the information in a way that they understand why they should listen. This shift makes a big difference in how your audience receives the information and how engaged they are in your presentation. For example, you could say, today I'm going to talk to you about our sales this quarter. That's okay, it says the what. However, if we really think about why the audience should listen, you could start with, today we're going to talk about this quarter's sales figures and how we can increase them for next quarter so we can also increase your commissions. So here this was a slight modification and I really kept the same basic structure, but I added the why. So okay, they might maybe be interested in this quarter's sales figures, but when you frame it in a way about how it's going to impact their commission, how much money they make, now they're really interested. So considering your audience's perspective can make a big difference in how effective your introduction is. Now, in addition to just reframing the standard, you could also consider starting with a quote, a question, or a story. So storytelling is a wonderful way to present any kind of information, especially if it's dry data. You know, adding a story makes it more personable, and in my opinion, when a presentation feels like you just had a conversation with someone, that is really special instead of just a lecture. So think about how, even though it is technically a lecture, it's technically a monologue, you know, how can you make the audience feel like they were really a part of it, even if they didn't say anything? For example, using the standard model, you can introduce a topic like this. Today I'm going to talk about how we can focus our research to better define our target audience. Now that's good. It says the what. But if you want to start with a story to engage your audience, maybe you could try something like, my inspiration for this meeting actually came from a fortune cookie. So I ordered takeout last week, and when I opened the cookie, it said, a man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. I'm sure you can all agree that we haven't quite found our target audience. So today we're going to talk about how we can focus our research and really find who we need to market to. So by starting with a story, it's kind of unexpected as well, like what does takeout have to do with the topic? That alone engages your audience. But then when you tie it into something relevant to your presentation, it just makes an awesome impact. So if you're preparing for a presentation right now, take a look at what you prepared for your introduction and see if you can change it to make it more effective. Okay, so something that we all are guilty of, even native speakers, is we get in a comfort zone with certain words. So something you can do to immediately make your presentation better, more effective, more interesting is using verb variety. So when you're preparing your presentation, really observe what words you use. And if you're recording yourself, like I always recommend, notice if you use some verbs or adjectives or words repeatedly. Those are opportunities where you can use verb variation to be more interesting. So for today's challenge, I'm going to give you 10 verbs that you can use to present data. Feel free to take notes, but remember, you have to connect the word to the mouth, so practice saying them out loud. Ready? Show, tell, reveal, highlight, point to, imply, prove, illustrate, suggest, and indicate. So please, do not read from your slides. It is incredibly boring, and if you've ever been in a presentation where someone did that, I mean, I don't know, but what I think is you should have just emailed me the presentation, why am I here? This is a missed opportunity. Not only is it an opportunity for you to showcase your confidence in front of your peers or executives, it's also an opportunity to interpret the data. Because data, it's just facts and numbers, and honestly, we can all interpret them differently. So when someone's looking at your slides, you want to make sure you use that time to guide them, to highlight the information that you want them to see. If you have a lot of dips in the data, for example, for sales, but you want to convince them that it's a good thing, you're going to highlight when you had peaks. Conversely, if you want to instill a sense of urgency, you might want to highlight the dips, the negative times, so that you can motivate them to do better. So your slides, your visuals, whatever you're using, or the data, if they have packets, that's the what. You're there to explain the why. Why is it important? You know, what should they focus on? What are they going to take away from your presentation? So again, put yourself in your audience's shoes, in your audience's seats, and think about what they need from you from this presentation. So if you're working on a presentation right now and you have visuals, make sure that you practice and record yourself. And when you see what you've recorded, really analyze, okay, am I just repeating the things that are on the slides, or am I adding value? Am I interpreting the information in a way that I need to convey? So this is about your conclusion. To write an effective conclusion, I actually recommend writing the conclusion right after you've prepared or you've written your introduction. And the reason is, statistically, a lot of people don't remember the middle part of your presentation. Like, it's still important, but they don't remember it very well. And a lot of people don't remember the beginning. So we're working with some pretty short attention spans. That makes your conclusion super, super valuable. And by creating your conclusion at the same time or right after you've written your introduction, it really helps keep your focus in mind. Now, for your conclusion, I want you to think about, you might have presented 10 things, 20 things, a million things. But for your conclusion, what's one thing? What's the one message you want your audience to leave with? I like to think of it as when they walk out the door and they're talking to people who were in the meeting or to other people, what's the one thing I want them to repeat, to have taken away from, or to understand from my presentation? This isn't easy because you probably think everything was valuable and important, and it was. But that's just not the way the human brain functions. So you need to make it concise, figure out what's the one message you want them to take away, and that's what needs to be in your conclusion. The conclusion is also a great time to include any call to action. If you want them to email you, if you want them to see you after the meeting, whatever it is that you want them to do, this is also a great opportunity. So today's challenge was pretty short, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take a long time focusing on it. So the reason it was short is so that you have more time to really sit there and focus and craft a conclusion that's effective. Don't waste it by just saying, all right, thanks everyone for coming, I'll see you later. That doesn't leave your audience with anything. So make sure you invest your time in creating something concise, clear, and what you want them to take away from your presentation. You worked hard to make it, so make sure they remember it. So for our final day together, we're going to talk about how to deal with stress and anxiety. Speaking in public, especially when it's not your native language, can be really intimidating, and it can manifest physically. So these are 3 things that you can do to help you feel more calm and confident. Number 1, record yourself when you practice. This will really help you understand how you're coming across, what you look like. Because if you look confident, that can help you also sound confident, which can help you feel more confident the day of your presentation. So record yourself and analyze your body language. Make sure that your shoulders are relaxed, your posture is confident, and your facial expressions match the tone of what you're presenting. And that means smile when it's something positive, serious face when it's something negative or more serious. In addition to that, you can listen for if you sound robotic. If you're constantly monotone and you're presenting all of your information using the same exact intonation, boring. So play around with your intonation so that you sound more engaging. Tip number 2 is prepare and practice your coping mechanisms. So whether it's a breathing technique, maybe something that you're going to do with your hands, whatever it is that you plan on doing when you get nervous to help yourself during your presentation, you have to practice it before. You have to put yourself in a situation where you feel nervous so that you can train yourself to react with the coping mechanism. This will help you react instinctively, so during the presentation when you feel nervous, you don't have to stop and think, okay, what do I do to calm down? Your body naturally goes into the coping mechanism. So maybe if it's just a breath, maybe if you have like a pen or a pin or something that's out of sight that you know you can just like rub to help you feel calmer, that's fine. But you need to practice it before. And my final tip is the day of the presentation, when you start, again, whether you're sitting down or standing up, for the first 2 seconds, do nothing. So many people get nervous or excited, and as soon as it's their turn to present, they just start. And what this does is it makes you start from a place of chaos, a place of just anxiety. Instead, just stand there for a couple of seconds, not so long that it's awkward, just and then begin. What this does is, number one, it commands the audience's attention, and number two, it helps you breathe and calm your heart rate and calm yourself so that you can begin confidently. And when you start a presentation with confidence and smoothly, it really helps you continue to present smoothly. Okay, so those are 3 tips that you can use to help you feel less stress and anxiety about presenting. I'm so proud of you. These tips for the 5-day challenge were meant to be quick and actionable. So make sure that you make a list of what you learned and apply it when you're preparing your presentation. If you'd like to practice your presentation with me, you can always book a training lesson with me and I'll give you feedback and I'll coach you so that you feel more confident. If you want an online course to help you so that you have the information, lists of words and expressions you can use, and lots of other in-depth tips, the course link is in the video notes below.